Hello, everyone. Hope you're all having a great day. My name is Clay with a J, and this is my channel. We've been discussing all things brain, mind, what is self, what are parts, what are emotions, and today we're going to go into direction, purpose of life. That easy question that everybody knows the answer to already. So, for those of you who don't know that, we're going to try to intentionally figure this out via a few modalities. And the ones I really like to look at are ACT, acceptance commitment therapy. They have a very useful concept of how to figure these things out. Although I have some clients who, it takes years to figure these things out sometimes, to really boil down what is it that a self is and what is it that a self values. So, in recap, some of the things that we've been talking about, just in general. So, what are emotions? They are a concept that our mind has, um, based on what a setting is, what the environment is, and what our body state is, what is actually going on with all of our sensations and hormones, etc. And what do those two things mean together? That is an emotion. Sometimes these get so solidified, habitualized that they feel automatic. In CBT, cognitive behavior therapy, they often term those when they get really habitual, so fast in the brain. They call them core beliefs. These are built. I don't know when they're exactly built. It could be pre-birth. These the starts of these things can be really early. Could be one. I don't know exactly when they are, but they start generally before memory. So we don't. They're hard to get at because we don't have. They're pre-verbal. They don't have a language that we can really get out to them. They're more of a feeling. Anyway, so those are what emotions are. There's what can the mind do in any given situation. One of three things. It can change itself to better fit reality. Doesn't like doing that. It takes a lot of energy, a lot of effort, a lot of calories. It can change reality to better fit itself. It actually likes doing that one pretty well. Um, no, you were supposed to go do this, not me. That kind of thing. Like projection onto somebody else or even onto the world. Like, oh, how dare this guy cut me off? And it's like, well, it has no self reflection of me driving like an idiot or any of those types of things. It wants to project outside. It's an externalizing force. And then the third thing the brain and the mind can do is ignore the discrepancy. If the brain comes up with a situation that doesn't fit the expectation and the reality is over here, the brain can just be like, does not compute and just go about its day. Last time we talked about parts. These are the tools that the brain has come up with to deal with the world. And all of these are built through the brain. Like we said, the brain doesn't like changing itself. How it does that is it develops a new tool. It develops a new avenue for the brain to deal with reality with. And it does this by inhabiting a new way of thinking and doing something, and then that part on repetition turns into a tool, a part, and it goes really deep. I mean, more like that belief. Not quite core belief, generally speaking, but belief. I like using the in my sessions. I call it Shraddha, which basically just means belief, but it's a different word for it, and I like to juxtapose that. So those are the things we went over in the past few sessions. We also gave you a bunch of metaphors that I like to use. What are these parts? And they are the bus metaphor, and they're all your passengers. You're the driver; they're all the passengers. We've got the orchestra. You're the conductor, and then there's each section of the symphony, and then you're just and all the symphony members and sections are all parts. That one's very useful as well. The raft metaphor I like, because it's the actual raft or the ship itself, which are all parts of you, and you can kind of categorize them into like the hull, safety, and the mast, just drive and energy, and then the steering, right? So which one's going to do that? Plus you have the oars, and you can have different passengers that way. Today, now that we've got all this, really focusing on direction. Where are we going with all of this? what is the point of all of these things? Like, yeah, cool, we've got them, but why not just use this one every time? Why not just use this perfect tool that the brain has? No, it's not my fault, it's your fault, for instance. That is actually harder to answer than you might think. Like, if the brain has that tool, that externalizing that process of guilt, it avoids trouble, it avoids being in trouble, it avoids the consequences, it avoids having to change itself. This type of reaction is not ubiquitous. Some people don't go over this that much, but some brains really die on this hill. They really like projection, externalizing responsibility. Why not just keep using that? This is where direction goes. Because what that is in our metaphor for the bus, that would be, let's just turn left. Let's turn left. Let's turn left. That's what that tool will do, metaphorically. And then we start spiraling. In the ship, we're caught in a maelstrom. Right? We're just going around. That is what, in the symphony, it's like disharmony. That is what these tools are for. And this is why it's so useful to really recognize them. It's like we can take ownership of the self and really figure out, wait a minute, what do I have control over to better my life? That's the hard part. It's so much easier for the brain to just continue using this particular tool, the externalization, blaming somebody else, blaming everybody else for our own shortcomings. This happened again. I have such bad luck. I'm blaming the universe, essentially, or God, or whatever. Bad luck always happens to me. Why is this always mine? Like, I'm using my ego to figure these things out. We do so many of these tools, people say, almost automatically. And almost automatically, it's turned into a part. You're starting to see how these concepts work in the regular everyday life. So, direction. We need to get a compass to figure out which way to go. Why not just turn left? What is the consequences of that? Sure, but where are we actually trying to go? And once we can figure that out, we have a better yardstick. If I'm going, I like to say, up the mountain as the metaphor of where my values are, my purpose of life is, if that is at the top of the mountain, is this tool the best tool for the job of going up? Or it does turning left, for instance, make me go back down the mountain? Is that just spiraling? Am I just making a swamp? So that is what we're going to be talking about today. To start, we'll go over several. So first off, I want to give you the definition of what value is. Such a hard word. Everybody knows what value means, and then nobody really knows what value means. We have virtues and values and corporate values and all these different things, religious values. I'm trying to look at what I mean by it in this psychological thing. I like saying capital V values to distinguish it, but it's a psychological value. What is your self's particular purpose in life? What would you do if you had all other things were satisfied? What do you continually strive for? Those are the things that make up the capital V value in this exercise. So give you a couple of ground rules. Go ahead and do this on your own if you want. So brainstorm any value or purpose of life. Just kind of jot them down. The rules of this is it has to be something you have control over. Like, you can't be like, I value when other people do this for me. That's not the value. You have no control. Like, they might not be here. Like, we can't value something that is not in us. Like, we're trying to look at stuff that we would actually have control over. That's that first one. It has to be something not accomplishable. What I mean by that is, like, getting your doctoral degree, for instance, can be a huge milestone, and that's fantastic. But once you reach it, the value is gone. The direction is now, the compass is spinning. You're at the North Pole. What we want is you can never a value can never be actually attained. You can never actually just achieve value. This eliminates, like, I value a house. I value that house. I value a car. I value a wife, a husband. I value children. Um, Unless there's something underneath those, all those are technically achievable. And what happens when our brain does that is we work and we strive and we work and we strive and we do better and we're actually have an intention of moving towards something. And once it's attained, the brain doesn't have anything to strive for. And therefore, it just pauses. And if you're like after we graduated, everybody in my graduating class got like not everybody, but I would say a lot of us got got depressed, got sad. It was like a wow, 8 years of school and now. Hmm, hmm, now what am I going to do? And for the most part, we quickly got over it. But there's that plateau. Unless we're doing this and keeping this in mind that there is something larger. I'm using this degree for something larger, and then we're able to continually paddling our canoe or paddling our raft, moving forward. That's the eyes on the prize kind of thing. So it has to be something that you have control over. It has to be something that you can't really achieve, and it has to be something that isn't somebody else. I like using like east as a metaphor here. I value east, so you can go east, but you can never get east. You can never actually achieve it. Another one that I've been working on for myself is we'll do knowledge, learning, that ability of wonder, and when you learn something new, that kind of I really like this. There's something in that, and I just call it learning. But each one of these words is going to have a unique definition for each of you because it's your purpose of life. Learning, novel information. That is something that as I've the self that the bus that my driver is going through will continually, and I found continually wants to do, whether I am doing it in class and doing it for a degree or I'm doing it on my own. I'm just wanting to read or I'm just finding myself like figuring out how things work. That adding to my knowledge base I've found deeply useful. Now, this is where it can be potentially value or potentially tool. This is the hard part. Is the thing, so once I have all the knowledge in the world, what is Clay free to do? Well, then I'll be able to answer all the questions. So maybe it's I just like answering questions. That would be the value. Why do I want to answer questions? I like being useful to other people. Is that the value underneath? Um, that's how this works. For me, it's just the learning. I don't necessarily need to use it for anything. It's that process of knowing. Another one is connection for people, um, talking with people, having good discussions with people, chatting with the barista, having deep philosophical conversations, telling jokes, laughing. Um, all of these are tools that my mind uses towards the mountain, the lighthouse at the top of this mountain that's saying, connection, learning. These are the things. Like oftentimes there's family can be in there somewhere too for a lot of folks. The point is everyone is going to have their own unique pieces, and then what you need to do is filter it through this process. So just get out 10, brainstorm 10, and then try to dig under them. And what I mean by digging under them is we'll say, I value family. Okay, cool. What the therapist would do is dig under that. Well, what are you free to do? What does family mean to you? Figure out their definition. And if you have family, what is good about that to you? Because again, we're making it self-controlled. I feel safe. I feel like I belong. I feel like I, have that sense of endurance. I feel like from that place I can have confidence to do whatever else I want. Legacy with family could be a bloodline legacy. All we don't know exactly which one it is, but these are often the things that are underneath family. So we'll say it's legacy. Oh, so with family, I'm going to have legacy. Okay, so family is the tool to which you go towards legacy. Then we go, okay, so what is it about legacy? Define legacy. What does this mean to you? And then you do the same thing. And you do it until you kind of start going in a loop. Once you're at a loop, that's probably where a value lies. Like, well, what's good about having a legacy? Well, I want to have making the world a better place later on for the progeny, for the future. That's what I really like. Well, what's good about that? Well, I want to have my my family be able to prosper in that space. Well, why? Because of legacy. So, now I've got a loop. Something in that is probably the value, and that's generally good enough for to to merit its own lighthouse on the top of this mountain. I am all metaphors today. So we've got that metaphor on the top of, I mean, that value on the top of this lighthouse. And then you just keep doing this and figuring out what your purpose or purposes in life are. That is the direction. Incredibly difficult. It's hard to weed out the passengers that got on our bus just vicariously, just the ones that our brains absorbed from our family or absorbed from schools, the hitchhikers along the road that are our friends. We just kind of, our brains saw them and mirror neuroned them into our minds, and all of a sudden we have this passenger now, and it does what it's going to do, but it's not necessarily the purpose. It's a purpose. Like the virtues, oftentimes people use various virtues in religion. So I'll give you a list of virtues, and those are fantastic tools. But in this definition, they are not values. They are not the points of life. They are fantastic tools moving towards a point of life. That's the difference here. And again, you can never directly achieve one of these values. So, you guys all have homework today. Try to figure out some of your values. I generally say get 10 or 20 and dig under them. Generally speaking, when you do that, you come up with like 3 or even less. I've had clients that came up with 20 and we boiled it down to 1. Under each one, it kind of actually kept going back to the same value. It's like, oh, well, that's really neat. Eventually, he was able to add further or more, like later on in therapy. But that's your guys' homework. Try to figure it out. It's harder than it sounds, and that's okay. So I hope you guys enjoyed. I'll talk to you guys next time.